Hello and welcome once again to Ignite Your Impact. My name is Jen Rhodes. I am seated next to my husband, Matt.
Good morning, everyone.
I am ready and seated and not fidgety.
Well put together this morning.
Lord, it took me a second.
No, you're all good.
Shout out to our editor. She's going to have like 20 minutes of me just fiddling.
Yeah, we hit record before we actually started talking. It's all good.
I want to jump in. I like this topic. We talked about it last night.
Yep.
In depth.
Yeah, we did.
I'm ready.
All right. So today, I know that we've weaved this topic in a lot of our podcasts. We've even done some podcasts on it, but it's worth hitting it again today. And we're going to hit it from a different angle. And for our longtime listeners, this may just hit differently today because of what's going on in your life. You know, things change. We make a lot of decisions based on emotions. We talked about that last night. And this just may be a perfect time for you to hear this message. And I want to start with, have you ever felt like you're capable of more, but something invisible just keeps holding you back? Have you ever felt like you're capable of something so much more, but something invisible is holding you back?
If you're not watching on YouTube, I'm raising my hand.
Yeah, I know many of you can feel that.
Very high.
You feel there's more, but you don't know what it is that's holding you back. And what that is it's the identity gap. It's the difference between who you think you are and who you're truly capable of being. You know, years ago in our gyms, and even in my personal life, you would have never heard me talk about abs because I identified as someone who's in shape, but that was the limit, in shape. Abs were for someone in movies or bodybuilders, things like that. And that's because that's who I thought I was. It was not taking into consideration of what I was capable of.
Yeah. Today, we're going to unpack how identity shapes your wealth, your health, and your relationships. And then also, we're going to talk about how to close that gap.
Yeah, but first we have to understand that identity gap.
Yes. And by identity, we also are relating it to self-image. Yeah? Self-image is like a thermostat. It always pulls you back to where you believe you belong. Keyword there is belief, right?
That statement's going to be key as we go through this. So say that again, because you need to keep this statement in the back of your mind as we go through today.
The thermostat?
Yes.
Self-image is a thermostat. It's always going to pull you back to where you believe you belong. So what does that mean? It has a few meanings. Where you belong is somewhere comfortable, familiar. Not even comfortable, familiar. You aren't pushed out of your comfort zone. You've been doing this life thing that you've fallen into a rhythm. It feels very natural. It feels very normal because that's what you've been doing, right? It's comfortable. It's familiar. It's second nature. It's habit. Where you belong is also something that society, a parent, a mentor, a coworker, or maybe even a friend has unconsciously said is where you belong. That's a key one. Yeah. And this comes in many forms. Parents telling you, well, you're just not good at this subject. There's no hate behind it. You're just not good at this subject. A coworker or a boss constantly saying offhand comments about you or your performance. Society telling us that women can't be the breadwinner, can't be in shape, can't be a kick-ass mom and a wife all at the same time. That you have to choose. Well, you have to choose. All of these are examples of someone or something telling you where you belong, not where you can go. And because of where you belong is comfortable, and because where you belong has been told to you, you develop language patterns that just start to pull you back. It develops that thermostat feel, right? Some common things. Using language like, oh, I've just always been bad with money. Or I'm just not a fit person.
Yeah, and these people also downplay wins, not only the language.
Yes. That's a huge one. Guilty. They downplay wins because that's outside of their current identity. That's not me. I don't win all the time. I just got lucky this time. Like, oh, well, lucky me. That's powerful.
The key here, though, is when you go back to what you just said, they win sometimes, but not all the time. The key here is you can work really hard, but you can't outperform your identity for long. That is where you get some of these wins, but they're never like life-changing winning streaks next level.
Yeah.
Because you're working hard, but your identity isn't at that next level. It's still at that level below that. And I know this hits with some of you. You've worked hard. You've had some wins in your life, but every once in a while you dream of a different level of some area in your life. So let's jump into some of those different areas of life that may relate to people.
And it's so funny what you just said. Like, you can't outperform your identity for so long. Guilty again, right? Like, we would stack wins and I would downplay them because I didn't believe that I was capable of that success. And I want to get into this. Yep. I want to dig really deep. And this might hopefully explain why I'm so adamant about language. Clients, if you're listening, if you say something self-deprecating, we stop immediately. I'm like, change your fucking language right now. Say something different right now. Because I cannot continue until that language has been changed. Even if you don't feel it, we have to start it. And if you wonder why I work so hard with language and beliefs with my clients, it's because someone can lose 30 pounds, but still call themselves an overweight person. I'm always going to be a big gal. I have a client currently. I know you're listening. I love you so much. But the belief that your body is a Jeep is bullshit. Your body is a Ferrari, and you've got to start identifying as it. Because if you don't, they often gain it back.
Has anyone lost some weight and then gained it back? Yeah.
Yeah. Part of their identity has always been this overweight person. Now remember, it's like a thermostat. It dials you back to what you know. It dials you back to what you believe consciously or unconsciously. And instead, we're turning the language around to this is who I am. Do you remember the one client that just didn't quite believe it until I made her change her profile picture after her transformation?
I'll be honest with you, I don't. But I'm sure it happened because that happens a lot.
It was Tanya.
Oh, okay.
It does happen a lot.
Okay.
But she had an old picture. I'm like, get that bitch off my screen. She don't live here no more. And the minute she changed that, everything changed. Yeah. Right? She's kept it off for 2 years now. She's got abs. She's got bricks for abs. But it took that step. I'm like, I need you to do this in every single one of your profile pictures. Every single one needs to change right now. You identify as her now because that bitch don't live here no more. Sorry for the language. We have to change the language into this is who I am. I made changes and I am fit. And when you identify as someone getting fit or already fit, it changes your decisions, changes your direction, which ultimately changes who you are. But the key is to step into that identity before you've actually arrived. This is not a fake it till you make it. The results just haven't shown up yet. Working in order. When you change your identity, it changes your beliefs, which changes your decisions, which changes your actions, which already determines your outcomes.
You know, what episode are we on?
100 and something or another.
160.
164, I think. That
sentence you just said basically sums up every single episode.
Yes. Unless we're talking about macros.
Unless we're talking about macros. That sums up everything.
Yeah.
If you just take that.
Yes.
And you work on that, you will change your life.
100%.
So let's shift gears to finances. When we look at finances and people have grown their income, but they still think they're broke. They're hoarding money. They have fear. They're playing small. They're worried about losing it. Those are the type of things where they haven't changed their identity. And they say things like, I can't afford it. Or I can just save some money and do it myself. This keeps them wrapped up in that identity, and they never start playing big. We transition that language from I can't afford it to how can I create resources? What do I need to go do today to create the resources so that I can't afford this?
What can I leverage?
Yeah. And I would strongly urge anyone who's an employee to listen super carefully here what I'm going to say next, because when I say finances, I'm not just talking about business owners. We'll get into that here in a minute. That's one of our other topics. I'm just talking about finances. So if you're an employee, listen to this next. I had this acquaintance that reached out to me a while back, and he reached out to me due to he saw some posts on real estate. We kept in touch, but nothing, I would say kind of a distant acquaintance. And he wanted to know more. So we set up a call, and he literally starts out the call with, hey, I'm just an employee. I'm not really sure why I reached out. I got a W-2, but it intrigued me what you were saying. And that was his identity, is I'm just an employee. And again, we're still in the finance thing here. I'm just an employee, so I go to work for a paycheck. By the time we gotten off the call, he completely transitioned from I'm just an employee to I am a wealth builder. Now, did he invest with me? Yes. Is he building wealth from that? Yes. But that has nothing to do with this point. The point is his identity changed during that call. He was able to transition from I'm just an employee, I'm just a cog in the wheel waiting to retire and collect my 401k and Social Security, to he's taking control of his life in all different areas, not just with investments with us. He's looking at taxes. He's doing all these things, and it's things he's never looked at because he always thought he was just an employee. He goes to work for a paycheck, puts it into his 401k, lives his life, and then will hopefully be good to go. This is all because his identity changed. He's looking at a whole new world. My point is no matter what you do, employee, entrepreneur, stay-at-home parent, where you're at or what your past identity is doesn't really matter. It's where you transition your identity that will get you where you want to go. And that is great news, because if you step into that identity, just like this example did, you step into that identity, you can change everything.
I would say the same for you, though. I would say the same for me. Like, I remember when you thought managing $1 million gym business was your peak. Yeah, right? Yeah. And now you're managing like 50 million in assets.
That's a good point. I mean, it all comes down to what you believe you're capable of. And when you start thinking that way, doors start opening, learning start unlocking, and it allows you to go to that next level. But you have to realize you have to look to that new identity. If you don't think you're capable of it right now, you've got to do some internal work.
Yep.
Which we'll get to.
We'll get to.
Yeah. So transitioning. Yeah. Let's transition from finance to the actual business side. If you own a business, and I think a lot of people listening may think they don't fall into this category because they are an employee or something. But listen, I mean, you may fall into this. So, anyone listening right now, do you have a side hustle? If you do, raise your hand. Now, obviously, I cannot see you, so I trust a lot of you raised your hand. You do something on the side to make money, which is not your primary paycheck. Maybe you're building something. So do you run a small side hustle? Or are you the fucking CEO of a scalable company? And as Jen said earlier, I'm not saying fake it until you make it. Not at all. I actually despise the fake it until you make it. But here's what I do mean. Whatever it is that you do, what decisions do you think you make if you said you had a side hustle? You've got a list of decisions you got to make today.
When I hear, and because I know language is important, when you hear side hustle.
Yeah, I know I don't like it, but yeah. But you have a part-time gig, you have something, whatever you want to call it. When you have decisions to make and you call it that, how do you think you make the decisions? You scurry.
Squirrels.
But now what decisions would you make if you said you were the CEO building a scalable company? No matter what it is. I don't care what it is you're doing. You're the CEO of that company. Your internal identity determines the kind of team, the kind of clients, the kind of investors that you attract, and you make different decisions based on the identity of being a CEO versus having a side hustle.
Yeah.
No matter how small or how big it is.
100%. Anyone ever experience imposter syndrome? You can go ahead and raise your hand too, Matt.
Yeah, we all have that. That's what I'm talking about.
That's really just an identity gap.
Yeah.
Right? So how do we close that gap? Now, I experienced this after quarantine. I experienced it before quarantine, if I'm being honest. In our gyms, we had maybe 25 to 30 employees that had been leading the charge while I had stepped away to run our yoga studios. And the gyms were super successful, but the culture was shit. Misery. We hated going into those businesses. So I turned over all but two employees. Save for a third. She came back. We love her. Shout out to Becca. But 2 employees. That was it. Now I had to not only build the team back up, but I had to fill those leadership roles that I hadn't had to be before because I had people in place doing that. Were those bad people that needed to be turned over? In most cases, no. Great people. But I did not have a CEO leading them, and they didn't fully believe in what we were trying to achieve. Now, how was I going to rise to that challenge? I had to become the CEO and not the small business owner, right? Not the employee of a man with a great vision. I had to be the one with the vision. That identity, that internal identity determined the team that I built today and the culture that we have today.
That was a perfect what you just said, transitioning into relationships, what I'll get in just a minute. But one of the keys there was there was imposter syndrome. There was all kinds of things that you were going into that you had to step into basically a new role, and you had to be the CEO. They had to make some tough decisions, some easy decisions, a lot of leadership. And that's what that team needed in that team that you were building. But so you just said something about, what was it? The second, let's get into that in a minute. But, the last area to touch on is relationships.
Okay.
So someone's stuck, in the, I'm not worthy of love. So we hear that a lot. They create self-sabotage, and they do this because their identity is not, I am worthy, therefore their identity is I'm not worthy. Therefore they continue to search out ways to confirm that unconsciously.
Ooh, my God, I always attract bad guys. Know anybody that says that? Whoa, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
They're literally just, yes. Yep.
It's the identity.
It's the identity. Yes, you do, because that's what you believe. Right? I'm working with someone on that right now. And I've been able to show them how their identity creates patterns that loop them back to being stuck. You ever notice you keep attracting the same people in your life? It's a recipe. You are perpetuating this.
And you can fix it.
It's literally like the Facebook algorithm.
Yeah.
I got into a comment exchange. I don't have a lot of shit on my feed because I don't feed into it. Yep. Get it off my desk. Bye. Right? Those in a relationship shifting identity as a partner from me-centered to we-centered is a huge one. The minute we started moving as a unit, he is an extension of me, I am an extension of him. This we could talk hours on. Like this is what we were talking about last night. I wound up in tears because I just got so damn passionate about it. But it essentially comes down to every decision is about we versus me.
Yeah, and that we-centered thinking is how we got to where we're at today, which is what I was trying to touch on earlier. You said something about my vision and your...
I had a belief, and this was a belief of mine. This was nothing that he perpetuated. I will always add this disclaimer. I believed at my core I was an employee in the system for his belief, his dream, his vision. And once I realized that, no, this is my vision. Now, I tweaked the vision a little bit, but that's when we exploded.
Yeah.
Right?
So
I was no longer an employee. I was a CEO.
This is a perfect example. So let's go into this a little bit more.
Yeah.
So your identity was tied up.
My identity was tied up in being second string.
Yeah.
Right? And I had evidence to further that belief. Now, I didn't just wake up one morning and say, man, I feel like an employee. It was my own beliefs and actions perpetuating that story, right? Like, you have a very reliable big boy job, right? While I was running gyms as a small business owner where things weren't reliable. Weird things like, should I make this decision without him? Should I change our cable bill? Oh, I don't know. I should probably check with Matt. That feels like a big boy decision. That simple of a decision, I would freeze because I didn't see myself capable of making the right decision and then moving and executing. Like, should I buy this? And the list goes on, but not feeling like you're equal.
Yep.
And it was not anything you did. You're like, get up here, bitch. No.
It's an identity gap. That's
right?
exactly, yeah.
Like, it was all on me. It was all my choice and my decisions and my beliefs. Now, again, I did not wake up one day and say, I'm going to start acting like this because he's got a big boy job and I don't deserve this. I'm doing this, running this small business, so I don't get a say. No, it was years and years of uncovering this identity gap for me. But when I stepped into my identity, it vanished overnight. That identity gap vanished overnight. And it was about we versus me versus you. That was huge. And when I stepped into that identity, it changed for you too.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like, I knew that we could build together and we could build big together.
Yeah. So we've hit a lot of the areas. So how do you close that identity gap? You've mentioned how you closed it,
this is not about affirmations. I'm here to say we're not going to blow smoke up your ass. It's not about affirmations.
Yeah, but there's really 5 areas that I want to kind of zone in on that people can do today. And the first one is awareness. Identify the old labels you're still carrying.
I'm not good with money.
Yeah.
Turns out I just don't like talking about it.
I love talking about it.
Cool. That's great. I'm not going to yuck your yum. Yeah, but I'm good with money. I just don't like talking about it.
So what label are you placing on yourself about your fitness? Is it good? Is it not good? What label are you placing on yourself about finances? What label are you placing on yourself about relationships? It's about identifying. It's about awareness. That's the first one. You just got to be aware of it. When you stop and, the world runs really, really freaking fast. Mm-hmm. If you just stop for a moment and breathe deep and think about what labels you're putting on yourself in those areas, that's the first thing. You got to be aware. The second one is the language upgrade, which we've talked about.
Pause. Internal and external language.
Yes.
Go.
Yeah. When you say internal, that makes me think because, think about the shit that you roll around in your head. How would you ever let someone talk to you the way you talk to yourself? You never would do that. So you speak from the identity you want to grow into. So we just said, where is the identity you're at right now? What identity do you want to be? You speak from the identity that you want to grow into. Take from some of the examples that we've talked about and insert those into those areas. So that's number 2. Number 3 is habits. Adopt one habit today that your future self would already have under that new identity or that new label. This goes back to the podcast we just did on the future self. If you didn't listen to that one, that'd be a great one to go back and listen to. If your identity around fitness needs to shift, what habit are you going to start today? Around finances, what habit are you going to start today? Around relationships, what habit are you going to start today? So it starts with awareness, then language, and then habits. And the next one is environment. Surround yourself with people who have already leveled up. People you aspire to be around. And then you got to be careful because that's where the, what's the word? We talked about it earlier. Imposter syndrome can come in. That's why you got to use all these pieces. And there's groups out there, no matter where you're at, whether it's fitness, finances, relationships, business, whatever it is, there's groups out there that you can get into that have already leveled up. And if you don't know how to find those groups, shoot us a DM. We're a part of a lot of those groups, or we know people in those groups and we can direct you to that area.
And I guarantee someone that's on a higher level than you, that you aspire to, will never shit on you.
Just doesn't happen.
Right?
Yep.
I've yet to meet someone that's going to yuck my yum because I want to go to another level.
Yep. So I'll restate the first four and then I'll end with the fifth one. And we'll tie this together. First one's awareness. Get aware of where you're at and what labels you have on yourself. The second one is what language are you doing? Language upgrade. Third one is your habits. The fourth one is your relationships. And the fifth one is celebrate small wins. Seems pretty simple, but man, you guys aren't out there celebrating your wins. You aren't doing it. Celebrate wins. Reinforce that new identity with evidence. Guys, there's so much in the unconscious level that you have no idea. If you start celebrating the small wins, it provides evidence that you are in that new identity. Evidence is key.
Yeah. Team, if you're listening, what do I do after every win?
High five.
High five. You got to have that, like, just lock it. I do. I'm like, lock it in. High five.
Sometimes
I want you to feel that win.
Yeah, you feel the win. It could be I get dessert every time we get a win. I go buy this. I do a high five.
We don't reward ourselves with food.
Yes.
We're not puppies.
You know what I mean?
But celebrate that win. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Lock it in. Feel in your physiology. I will add this celebrate small wins. Maybe this is another like little bullet point, but pull in an accountability partner. That was key for me, Matt.
Yep.
If I didn't have you calling out some of my internal and external speak, I would not have been able to make this identity shift as easy as I did, because you recognized it. You were going through the same transformation with me, and I knew I needed an accountability partner.
Yeah. And I know we've stuck for a couple seconds on this celebrate small wins. You've got to do that because it shows evidence.
Yes.
And when you show yourself evidence that you are a different identity, it goes back to what Jen said. It changes your beliefs, which changes your decisions, your habits, which changes your outcomes.
Yeah. I want to close with this because, like, again, we could go on for hours about identity. Your identity sets the limits of your life. Upgrade your identity and everything else, the money, the health, the relationships, it follows. Now, if you're ready to step into that new identity, I want you to reach out. I am here for you. We have the resources that can help kind of like close that identity gap. But I want to end with that. Guys, I hope you found value in today's episode. If you did, please share it. Tag us in your Instagram stories. Give us a 5-star review. Do all the things. And we'll talk to you next time.